I do wish that Capcom didn't add MTX, you know, to this game. Because I feel like the silly thing of adding this MTX to this game just completely ruined the reputation of this game. But it's otherwise an amazing game. And I don't understand what kind of publisher would think this is a good idea.
For all of your streams.
Because... Oh, it's coming. It's coming. It's coming! Griffin! Here! Here! Your mother was a hamster and your father's mouth of elderberries? You're fucked. Wait, what was I saying? Yeah, the game is great. And you definitely don't need microtransactions to play the game. Because so far I have played this game for 27 hours. And I didn't know microtransactions were a thing until I went to the internet. I feel like it would be a much better reason to cancel this game for its poor optimization. But again, it's mostly a problem in cities. In places where you actually fight, it's not a problem.
We shall remain here.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. If you think that the graphics are from 2000 and games, you're just being silly. This game looks amazing. Can I tell you what happened? Every item that's in the deluxe edition of this game are items you can get in game. And then they thought, probably, it would be a good idea to make those items that you can buy them separately from the deluxe edition. And then people would see the deluxe edition as very good deal because the items outside of the deluxe edition would be more expensive. But all those items you can get in game, I feel like they just wanted to spicy up the deluxe edition. And instead, they did something else. They just got a bunch of people to not even try the game or buy the game because they did such a silly thing to do. The money that they would have made from actually selling this game, because the game is good, especially if they fix the optimization in towns, the game is great. I mean, you know like in Baldur's Gate, how you have the deluxe edition, you gain a speed potion and a strength potion? It's more or less the same shit here. Except they decided to sell a speed potion and a strength potion as extra, but you can only buy them once, and they're more expensive. It was such a bad publishing decision, because they would never make the money from those stupid microtransactions. And people would have bought the game. That would bring them a lot more money. So silly.
You would gather
and that honestly breaks my heart because the game is good. I have fun with it. I played it so far for 27 hours. Let me tell you something, okay? The people who made this game, the people who worked in this game, the game is not made to exploit this kind of thing, you know? The people who made this game, they just made the game, okay? And then the people who decided to publish the game, publishing has to do with seeing how to market and what to do and what to sell. These people, they messed up. Because they thought it would be a wise thing to do to make the deluxe edition of the game sell more, to make it seems like the items provided in the deluxe edition were worth more than they actually are. It was a poor publishing decision. It has nothing to do with game devs. The game devs, the people who actually spent years making this game, the people who actually spent so long making this game what it is, they had nothing to do with it. And it's also the same people, because it's likely the game devs also knew that the game needed some optimization time, but they were like, no, we need to release the game now. Because a lot of times when you're dependent on a publisher, they give you dates to release a game, and since they're paying your salary, they don't give you extra time sometimes when you need that extra time to finish things that need finishing. So it was the same people that probably cut the development of the game a little bit shorter, and the game got released with poor optimization. Again, Dragon's Dogma is a publishing problem. It's a problem of marketing and publishing, and not of a problem of making a game. And I feel like as gamers, we need to understand where the problem comes from so we can hold the right people responsible and not just place the blame on the first person that is pointed fingers to. But this game, it has a big problem. That's the optimization of the game. That's the biggest problem of this game. But when it comes to microtransactions, it was a silly publishing move that ruined the reputation of a game that otherwise a lot of people would have loved. If this game had been trashed because of the optimization issues, it's likely that publishers would be less likely to push game devs to release a game that's not properly optimized. And we, as consumers and gamers, would win if that was a more common practice. Because I guarantee you that the game devs warned the publisher, hey, if we release the game that day, we're gonna have problems. But the publisher is like, but if we change it today, we need to pay more salaries and things are gonna bite me. It's not worth it, so no. And then they release a game like this because they don't have another choice. But maybe if this entire fiasco was about that, publisher over time would realize that they would be hurting their games if they published games in an early state when the devs are warning them that's happening. But making the issue of this game about microtransactions, we have shifted the focus of the problem, and that's, in my opinion, a much more serious problem in this case, because there's a lot of very exploitative microtransactions in other games. But again, this case, it was like a silly marketing technique that backfired and caused all this. So not only we are not addressing the problem that needs addressing, so happens less often with video games, we are targeting the wrong people with our insults, I mean gamers and all this, and we are focusing on the smaller problem instead of the bigger problem in this case. Of course, it was a very dumb decision to add microtransactions to this game. They're one, very cheap. Second, they're not necessary at all. They're not going to make enough money to make up for the loss of sales that they lost because of this entire fiasco. So, publishing made a bunch of silly decisions in this game. And that has ruined a great game that a lot of people will never play because its name is tainted for the wrong reasons. The entire focus of the situation has been blurred, and we as consumers are losing because the game is good. And now we'll probably have a good game dev punished for silly publishing decisions. And it's likely that their next game will also fail and things like that, but not because their game is actually bad, but because publishing decided to try to make an extra few dollars. There's a few things when it comes to game mechanics that I wish it would have been done better in this game. And I think that if Dragon's Dogma 1 was a more prominent game, because the funny thing is, the problem that I had with Dragon's Dogma 1 are the exact same problems that I have with Dragon's Dogma 2. But since Dragon's Dogma 1 was an underdog, also, you know, they didn't release on PC, they were overshadowed by Skyrim release, the game was an underdog. So instead of telling the devs of this game ways to improve their game, which would be like, this game has a camping system, but you are forced to camp too often. It's very easy to camp, but you're forced to camp too often, and you lose your max health if you don't camp. And carrying the camp supplies is too heavy. If they made it less often for you to camp, if they made carrying camping supplies less heavy, the game would be perfect. And funny enough, those same problems was in Dragon's Dogma 1. But in spite of that, those are very minor things that you can probably fix with a mod. And we're not discussing things that could actually improve the gameplay of this game. We're discussing God knows what. God knows what. Like, we are not giving feedback, constructive feedback to make this game, which is a good game, even better, because we're focusing on the wrong things. And also, you should also be able to restart your save file without editing the files. Like, the game only allows you to have one character per account, and the game is in honor mode. So, for example, if an important NPC dies, your story is going to be slightly different. So I think the reason why you can only create one character, it's because they wanted people to play this game like in honor mode in Baldur's Gate, but they don't allow you to start multiple playthroughs. So allowing you to just create multiple characters, even if you cannot reload the content, just like Baldur's Gate does. Baldur's Gate, you can play in honor mode, but you can have multiple playthroughs. In this game, it's honor mode, but you cannot have multiple playthroughs. That's also kind of silly. Why not? You know, what if you want one character that kills everybody and one character that doesn't kill anybody, so you see what happens? You should be able to do that. You know, those are much more relevant problems with the game that would be much more important to discuss. And as a community of consumers of games, if we would be focusing on those kind of feedbacks to the devs, they could, one, update the game towards those goals so we have a better product in the end, or two, their future game, they don't do this. But now, by canceling the game for the wrong reasons, what happened is, one, the people who created this game are getting blamed for things that they didn't do. Two, now they resent the community and they think all gamers are dumb, reactionary people that will focus on things that they don't even have a power upon. And three, the game does not fucking improve because now our actual constructive feedback will never be listened on the mountain of screaming when it comes to problems that they can't even fix with publishing. But if we could had properly pressure the publishers, they would be less likely to not listen to the devs, and the devs could listen to the problems that the game has to make it even better. So, if we want better games, we need to start understanding what makes games tick and where the problem is. And Sven has even been telling us how the publishers fuck good games and how he has been fucked by them before. But I truly believe that the people who made this game, the people that actually worked on it, they had their hearts in the right place. The exact same problems that this game has, the first game had. Not only with combat, but with the single character. You could also only have one playthrough. But again, the game was an underdog back then. So a lot of people didn't talk about the issues of the game, and then they made the second version of the game. They improved a lot of things, like the combat is so fluid, it's so nice. All the cool stuff you could do in the first game, you can do even cooler and even better in this game. But it feels like there was no proper feedback when it comes to actually making this game better. And now that the game comes out, instead of focusing on those, we are focusing on things that the devs have no control. It's not that they don't learn from their mistakes, it's that they can't hear what's wrong with the game because people are screaming that what's wrong with the game is something else. And the people who fix one thing they are not the people who fix the other thing. So you're blaming the devs for publishing things when the devs cannot do anything about this. And the things that you should be blaming the devs so they work on it, they will never hear. So it's a communication problem. It's not that they don't learn. It's that we, as consumers, we don't know how to communicate our problem with the product. Gosh, let's go. Anyways, I like the game. The problems I have with it, they are mildly annoying things. Overall, the game is great.